Please welcome Rochelle Garza.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for having me here. I cannot see everyone in the room, but I can hear you. My name is Rochelle Garza. I'm your Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. I'm a civil rights attorney. I'm a fifth generation Texan. I'm a new mom. I'm a mom to an almost 4-month-old. She's 3.5 months. I had her during the course of running for office. And I'm running for our families. I'm running to make sure that we bring accountability back to the Attorney General's office, but also that we create an office that is going to really be the people's attorney, that is going to fight for everyday Texans. And a lot of that fight comes from my personal background, growing up in South Texas and being raised by 2 public school teachers. My dad went from being a farmer to being a teacher, to being a lawyer, to being a judge. And my parents were very clear that we had to work hard, we had to give back to our community, and that we all weren't born with the same lot in life. So we had to look out for each other. And that was really driven home to me by having grown up with a sibling with disabilities. My brother Robbie experienced a brain injury during childbirth. And so it really shaped who I am and how I look at my role as somebody who lives in a community, that lives in a state, and what my role is as an attorney. So that's why I focused my career on civil rights and fighting for people that have been overlooked or left behind by our legal system, because our rights are dependent on other people's rights as well. And the best example that we're seeing right now play out in our state is with reproductive rights. Back in 2017, I took on a case of a young woman who was in immigration detention. She was 17 years old. She needed access to abortion care, and the Trump administration prevented her from getting access to that very needed care. Ken Paxton involved himself. He's the one who opened up the lid on where she was and made it a very public spectacle and tried to intervene in that case. That case wove its way up to the Supreme Court of the United States, but we had to get through Brett Kavanaugh, who is now on the Supreme Court, as you all know. And he made a decision that would have been harmful to my client, that would have forced her to have a child against her will. And I ended up testifying against him in his confirmation hearings to the Supreme Court. So we've known for a long time that he was going to overturn Roe, and we saw the results of that. We won for her back in 2017. We made sure that she got the care she needed. And we were also able to ensure that every teen in immigration custody was given access to their constitutional rights. I'm very proud of that work. I know that we are in a very different place when it comes to reproductive rights, but the point remains that this fight isn't new to me. This is what we need in the Attorney General's office. We need an advocate who has been battle tested on these issues and can take on the status quo. And right now, the status quo is Ken Paxton. He has brought a level of lawlessness to his office that we as Texans cannot put up with. It is incredibly dangerous. And I don't want to scare everyone, but the reality is that democracy is on the line, especially in this election. There was a letter that was released today where Texas Republicans are threatening a law firm and saying that we're going to get all of you disbarred. We're going to jail you. We're going to prevent anyone from leaving the state of Texas to get access to abortion care. And it's not going to stop there. The Texas Republicans that we have in office right now are going scorched earth on democracy. They're attacking democracy, and Ken Paxton is going to help them do that. He has filed on average 2 lawsuits against the Biden administration per month since Biden took office. And most of it is challenging the federal government's power. So we have an attorney general that is unafraid to try to unravel democracy. And he's doing it by picking at these, civil rights that some people don't care about, which is reproductive justice, access to abortion care, and immigration. So he's picking these hot button issues and taking away power from the federal government very intentionally. And that's dangerous for democracy. That's dangerous for Texans. We need to restore justice to the Attorney General's office, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring accountability and transparency to that office. I'm going to focus on making sure that we are protecting civil rights, but through a fully funded civil rights division that is going to ensure that people have access to the ballot box, that they can have their voting rights respected, and that we're not going to see all of these mail-in ballots rejected that is going to disproportionately affect people with disabilities and our elder community, like what we saw throughout these elections that we've had. I'm going to make sure that we restore access to abortion care and to reproductive justice. I'm going to focus on consumer protection, because Ken Paxton did absolutely nothing when it came to the power grid failure and the hundreds of Texans that died. The Attorney General's office could have investigated exactly what happened and who was responsible and the price gouging that occurred. If we're not paying for it right now in our energy bills, we will be paying for it moving forward. And this was just one incident where we had a colossal power failure, and we're going to be paying for it for 20 years. So we need an attorney general that, one, is not an indicted criminal, that has not gone answered for his crimes for over 7 years. But we need someone in this office who is actually going to fight for us and make sure that we are protected, that our rights are respected, that we're not being taken advantage of, and that we're holding people in power accountable, that we're ensuring that consumer protections are uplifted. That's my vision for this office. We have a very clear path forward to winning. There's been a number of polls that have been published over the last several months, and Ken Paxton's polling, his approval ratings have been consistently falling. So right now he's at a 40% approval rating. And what that means is that he does not have enough right-wing Republicans to get him over that 50% mark. So we are in an incredibly great place to reach out to independents and to moderates and to explain to them that he is has criminal issues, that he is bad for Texas, he's bad for democracy, and then provide them with that vision for what that office can be. And we're going to get there with all of your help, with your support, with you not only voting, but making sure that your families vote, that your friends vote, and get people to the polls. Because the reality is, we have the numbers. As Democrats, we have the numbers to win these statewide elections. You can't gerrymander these elections. You can't siphon off votes in any sort of way. We all have a voice here equally in this state to change the course of Texas's history. As long as we get out and vote and we help our neighbors and our friends and make sure that they know that this election is absolutely critical, and that we need to get rid of Dan Patrick. We need to get rid of Greg Abbott, and we absolutely need to get rid of Ken Paxton, because Ken Paxton is the key, and he is going to cause more harm to all of us. But the three of them, we need to get all of them out. I'm very happy to answer questions on any of the things that I've spoken about: path to victory, my platform, how we're going to get this done.
Great. Do we have questions? If so, come on over here, or I'll repeat them for you. Well, you had a very sympathetic and appreciative audience. I hope you were able to see some of them. No questions so far. Okay, I got a question back there. Oh, okay. Okay, everybody's waving. Say, yeah, Linda.
I want to know that indictments actually in front of a jury?
I don't know if you heard that, Rochelle. The question was, when you're elected, will you then go after Ken Paxton and get some of these outstanding indictments in front of a jury?
That's a good question. Look, Ken Paxton has to answer for his crimes, and just so folks understand the breadth of it, 7 years of criminal indictment in his home county of Collin County for securities fraud, for defrauding his own clients. That needs to get done immediately. That's something that I will use as the Attorney General, the bully pulpit of pushing for that to occur. I will be on board with that. There is an FBI investigation into bribery. He took some acts that benefited a donor of his. I will be completely transparent with the FBI. I know that there's information requests that have not necessarily been answered, but the FBI will get full cooperation with me to make sure that he answers for whatever crimes that he is going to be charged with.
Any other questions? Don't be shy. All right. Well, Rochelle, I think we're out of questions here at this point, but I really appreciate you spending some time with us. And
I think Adrian has a question.
Another question? Oh, Adrian.
Hi.
Okay, Adrian has a question.
Right here on Zoom, Jack.
There you go. Hi. I see you now.
Yeah. Hi, Rochelle. Thank you for being here. What do you plan to do to address the climate crisis?
I think that, so just to back up a little bit, the Attorney General's office is it's a constitutionally independent position. So it doesn't necessarily answer to the governor, lieutenant governor, or the legislature. The office itself is really a civil office. So there are things that the office can do through consumer protection that could address some climate issues, right? Holding companies accountable for price gouging. That's one aspect of it. There's other projects within the office, like the Colonias project, which colonias that are unincorporated cities are typically experiencing a lot more flooding. There are funds within the office that can go towards litigation to address some of those issues. It is going to take somebody who cares and somebody who's creative to actually use this office in a way that will be addressing climate issues and the effects of extreme weather, because that is what we're experiencing. I know that right now we're in an extreme heat wave. I know y'all are feeling it. We're feeling it down here in Brownsville. And this office is gonna have to take on a stronger role. If we have Ken Paxton, it's not going to happen. We really need to have new leadership at the statewide level, up and down the ballot. There are some wonderful candidates that we can all work hand in hand with each other to address these really pressing issues. But we need to start winning elections. And we need to know that we can actually win them. We just need to show up, and we need to get our families and friends to show up.
Okay, one more question from Pam Baggett.
Hi, Rochelle. I'm always pleased to hear what you have to say. You mentioned how we're going to have to pay for what I call the snowpocalypse for 20 or 30 years. And that's because they're adding $20 to $30 a month to our electric bills. I don't know about our gas bills because I'm in the country and I've got propane and anyway. Can you do anything about that? Can you go back on the gas providers who were I used to work for FEMA, and in effect, we would say that they were ripping off the consumer, taking advantage of the disaster. Can we go back and say, hey, wait a minute, you pull out those funds yourself? And heck, I'd even like the last year and a half's worth of extra $30 a month back. Is there anything that the AG's office can do?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. And so just to kind of break it down, because I had these numbers put in front of me, and the breadth of the problem is huge. We're looking at $2.9 billion when it comes to gas. So that money is going to be put onto the consumers, and we're going to have to pay that over time. Just on the gas side. On the electric side, I think it was around $3 billion. And this was just from one incident where the power failed us. And these companies have decided to put the burden on us, on the consumers. And because we don't have an attorney general that actually cares about us, that is looking out for us, nothing is being done about it. The AG's office is the people's attorney's office. As your attorney general, I am going to look at what happened. I'm going to look at exactly how this price gouging happened, and do everything I can to reduce those costs, because the consumers everyday people should not be paying for that and footing the bill for something like that, when it was their mistake for not weatherizing, and it was their issue to fix. So that's where the accountability comes in with this office and being the people's attorney.